Tuesday, February 2nd edition of the Carolina Weather Video. We have a ton to talk about here as we roll through the current edition of the video. Let's start off with a look at what's happening this morning. That's the Greensboro Tower camera perspective on things, and we have a cold front that's going to shift to the south, and behind that front during the 5 o'clock hour, northeasterly winds kicking into gear. And the Triad and the PTI Airport, its northeast wind sustained at 14 miles per hour. More on that in a minute. What a gorgeous day yesterday. It's hard to imagine a better day than what we got to enjoy there as our Monday rolled along. Plenty of sunshine out there throughout most of the day. And look at these highs. Just a gorgeous day. 76 in Columbia and Wilmington for a high yesterday. 74 in Fayetteville. Charlotte, 71. A lot of highs around 70 or so in the Triad area, 72 in Lexington. By the way, that 70-degree Greensboro high, that's a full 20 degrees above average this time of year. And look at all the 70s in the Charlotte area, low and mid-70s across the viewing area there around the Charlotte area. Just a fantastic day. A couple of photos to share with you from yesterday. That is yesterday afternoon. Thomasville, sent in by Brianna. That is in front of the police department there in Thomasville. And then here's a photo from yesterday evening in Kannapolis from Dwayne. Good evening. Spend some time outside yesterday evening. Just a great day. Now, temperatures cooling now. We have this northeasterly flow that's really beginning to kick into gear here across the region. The result's going to be a much cooler day today for a lot of us than yesterday. Not a whole lot on the radar locally, but I do think a little bit of light rain or some drizzle a possibility, especially I-40 points north and then back to the foothills and the mountains. Now here's where the major precipitation's ongoing. A major winter storm underway. Some heavy snow here. Whoop, let me get the right telestrator. Major winter storm, some heavy snow ongoing in that corridor right now. Then you shift further to the south and east, and thunderstorms become an increasing threat later today and into tonight. This is a dual threat winter storm where you have anywhere from 10 to 12 plus inches of snow, locally higher amounts there in the heavy snow corridor. There through the plains and the Midwest, and then down in the warmer air. Again, it is severe weather that is the concern today. An enhanced risk of severe storms running from southern Indiana down into the Mississippi-Alabama border region. In that corridor there of the enhanced risk, I think you're looking at the primary time period here being very late this afternoon and then into this evening. That's when your main window of opportunity for severe weather exists back that way. Here, this northeasterly flow temporarily in place, so a cooler day across the Piedmont and the foothills of North Carolina compared to yesterday. That one front lifts rapidly northward overnight, so we're into the warmer air again tomorrow, and I think a healthy round of showers and thunderstorms on the way as that front moves on through. The severe weather threat much more limited here than what's occurring off to the west today. Having said that, though, there still could be a damaging wind gust or two with some of the activity tomorrow. Rain totals look to be fairly generous. Let's focus on the Triad area on Futurecast. Higher totals there in the escarpment of the mountains there, and then another corridor of heavier rain toward I-95. Here's the European model. I think it's doing a pretty decent job with these rain totals. I think an inch to an inch and a half, a relatively decent wager for a lot of us with that frontal passage tomorrow. Now behind the front, we'll call it partly sunny for Thursday, beginning to dry things out. Your Thursday highs look like that, much cooler. And a lot of sunshine for Friday and Saturday before some question marks arise thereafter. Let me get into the detailed modeling here. Tell you what, before I get into the other modeling, let me give you the details on the severe weather outlooks today and tomorrow. There's your day one wind outlook there. Your 30% area mirrors the enhanced risk. Tornado probabilities look like that today with the current, as I'm cutting the video edition of the Storm Prediction Center outlook. Now you go out to tomorrow. Again, there's your marginal risk running from the Delmarva Peninsula down to the Florida Panhandle region. Probability-wise, right now it looks like that. Again, we're talking about a damaging wind gust or two being your primary concern. All right, so let's go out to the time period here from Sunday into Monday. Let's start with a peek at the European model. First of all, there we are today, big upper level low lifting and filling up toward the Great Lakes region. You go out to 108 hours. This is valid Saturday morning trailing piece of energy getting left behind to some extent that finally then on the European pivots through Sunday evening. All right, so that was what the European looked like. Let me show you the GFS depiction from the 0Z run, and then I'll show you the latest run that just came in. This is the previous run of the GFS. It left this energy way behind. Again, compare that to the European at the same time period. And you see that piece getting left behind further on the GFS. So the timing of this was much slower. This was out at Monday when the system kind of came through on the GFS computer model. And so on the previous run, you had a scenario that looked like this. Let's see. This was Monday morning on the GFS, and then you went out to Monday afternoon. A pretty good thump of some mountain snow, low pressure tracking right through the coastal plain. Now there's been an adjustment with the most recent GFS run. There is the one that just came in. This is valid Sunday afternoon, okay? So that's what it looks like Sunday afternoon, and that's very similar actually to the timing of the previous run that was out at Monday morning. All right, so this is really sped up more toward the European timing overall. And so on the most recent GFS run, everything, of course, is much quicker. There's your low pressure offshore Sunday morning. And so you go out then into Sunday afternoon. A little bit of wintry precip on the northwestern fringe of this. There we are heading into Sunday evening. And then finally, as the system pulls away Sunday night, maybe again a little bit of wintry precip being indicated on the northwestern fringe of this. There's your snow amounts there on the new 6Z run of the GFS. And I think that timing is probably a little bit more accurate. It lines up fairly well with the UK Met model. Overall, there's its position there Sunday evening, upper level low moving overhead, low pressure offshore. That's a bit of a colder solution there on the UK Met, it would appear. And finally, let me show you the Canadian. All right, so this is the Canadian model. This is valid Monday morning, so it was a little slower toward that previous GFS timing. And then finally, 6 hours later, there you go, as that system is beginning to pull away. So with that system, my thoughts are, I think anywhere from late Sunday into Monday, we'll get a coastal low that'll probably throw some rain up our way in much of the Carolinas. And on the northwestern fringe of that precipitation shield, depending on how much, if there's any cold air damming awaiting the system as it moves in, it's close to being a more widespread winter weather threat. But as it's modeled currently, temperatures in the cold air damming type of areas a little bit above freezing. But on that northwestern fringe of the precipitation, you're trying to get some wintry precip showing. And if you do see a little bit more in the way of some phasing, that might be a little bit of a different scenario. So still, boy, I mean, a lot of moving pieces with that one to figure out as it moves through. Now let's go beyond that system, and I think a big shot of cold air is on the way. Let me show you some 850 millibar temperatures as you get into next week. This is out at, what, 204? So yeah, this is out at Wednesday of next week off of the operational European model. That is a big, big dump of cold air. And take this with a huge grain of salt. The GFS often overdoes this. This is the previous run of the GFS Thursday morning of next week. 850 temperatures, absolutely brutally cold. Now that is nasty stuff. And again, take this with mounds of salt. But just to give you, for instance, what the previous GFS was showing, these were low temperatures Thursday morning of next week. And then there's high temperatures Thursday afternoon. Again, that is probably a little bit overdone. The GFS does tend to overdo it, but I do think, as I've been indicating, this is a big shot of cold air that gets in here for the middle part of next week following that very early week storm system. So a lot to talk about. Winter is not over by any stretch of the imagination. All right, that is it for today's edition of the video. Everybody have a great day, and God bless.